Is William Samoei Ruto gone? Is he vanquished? Has he vanquished himself? Is the removal of William Samoei Ruto a done deal? Many of the conversations I have with the people in this country would seem to suggest that Kenyans believe for Ruto it's over. I wouldn't have any issue with that had it not been that the people I expect to think through a situation, the people who are convincing us that they will remove Ruto from power, the political leadership in the opposition side also share the same popular belief. I've always told my colleagues at the university that I'm very apprehensive when I hear people who should be thinking using popular belief, moving with the current and swimming like dolphins and fish. I always give a very crude example that if I listen to your analysis of a situation and it's no different from what I heard from my house girl, I get a little worried. Not that there's anything wrong with my houseboy or house girl or house help, no. And I keep telling my colleagues, when what you are trying to tell me about Kenyan politics is what I heard from my shoe shine boy in the morning, I'm a little worried because there's nothing peculiar about you or I or those other people. It's just that society has spent considerable resources taking you through education to equip you with the tools to look at situations much more deeply, with a lot more eyesight, with a lot more insight rather. That you've been trained well to understand situations, to look beyond what meets the eye, to go beyond the obvious, to ask questions, to ask critical questions. Because to be educated is to develop a critical mind, the questioning mind, never to take anything for granted. So when I find the opposition joining people who are not so well prepared and thinking by merely shouting one time, Ruto must go, then Ruto is gone. I want to laugh. But I stop myself and say, this is a serious issue. It's not a laughing matter. It's about the future of this country. Around 1990, the end of the Cold War, during the end of the Cold War, when the world began to move in a different direction in terms of freedoms, when dictators in Africa began to fall, you could be talking of Kamuzu Banda of Malawi, Kenneth Kaunda of Zambia, focus on Daniel Arap Moi, for them the people, the Mobutus and the rest of this country. We too had our share in this country, and we were facing our first, after many years, multi-party election in 1992. Moi was almost in a similar situation that Ruto finds himself in. He owned up and said after the elections, commenting about that period, he said, wakati wa upepo mukali. Moi proceeded to win that election against a very serious and fierce opposition. One of the reasons why he won, and I think perhaps the main reason, was that everybody in the opposition thought Moi was finished. Defeating Moi was a done deal. If you try to bring a conversation somewhere that Moi could win the election, people could even slap you. They would think you are a fool. But Moi won, and he didn't steal that election. It was like in football. When the goalkeeper, the ground is wet, Teresa, and the goal has no goalkeeper, nobody wants to pass the ball to another one to score. Each one wants to score because there's no goalkeeper. The goalkeeper slides away from the goal. The goal is empty. People from the opposite direction, opposite team, each one of them will want to score. The thinking that your opponent is vanquished and weak is responsible for many losing games and wars, including political wars. So yes, there is a one term, Ruto must go. It is powerful. It is uniting the country against William Samoei Ruto. There is sufficient anger and pain in the country, all attributed to William Samoei Ruto and his government. That is true. So we count and say Ruto is down. Why? He has lost the hustlers. The people he promised heaven but failed to deliver even the moon. On the contrary, that he introduced policies and measures that punished the hustlers instead. We could be right. Indeed, we might be right. We say Ruto rode to power with the Bible in the hand. He has since disappointed the men of God, and therefore he has lost the church. We say Ruto promised, forgive me if I say Moi, we say Ruto promised heaven to young people. Today we say he has lost the youth through a series of measures and policies, not least among them the funding model at the university and many others. We list all these things and say for that reason, Ruto is gone. We said, we have said, we are still saying that the economy is doing so badly. The cost of living is so bad, so high, that only a fool can proceed to vote for the government. We cite the many bills. We look at SHA, NSSF, housing levy. We look at the finance bill that has been sneaked back through the back door. And we say there's no way a sensible person can vote for William Samoei Ruto. We say the mountain gave him 47% of the votes he got. Somebody was telling me 55. Fine, you can choose. We can meet in between and say half of his votes came from the mountain. And now we say he's lost the mountain. So with all these things, we look around and convince ourselves. I'm about to say we delude ourselves that Ruto is gone. How about we have a reality check? There is the what if principle. What if we are wrong? What if Ruto has something up his sleeve? Today I invite Kenyans, especially the opposition leaders, to stop sleeping if they want to remove Ruto from power. If they want to remove Ruto from power, they must not sleep. They must not think Ruto is vanquished. Begin looking around for what he could be having and work on that. What little strength could he have? What could he be relying on? Let me begin with cooperation with Raila Amolo Odinga. My advice to the opposition is that if you think Raila will count for naught, you are being delusional. You are actually naive. Raila may not deliver the votes he got to William Samoei Ruto. But make no mistake, Raila will deliver two things to William Samoei Ruto. The first thing he will deliver are votes, really votes. Human beings going to the booth to vote. They are there. The only thing, they may not be as many as he got himself. He cannot transfer his votes to Ruto. But certainly, he will deliver votes to Ruto. Take that to the bank. Dismiss Raila at your own peril. Politics is about numbers. The numbers you can crack yourself, and the numbers you must be aware your enemy will get, your opponent will get. And I point out to you that Raila will indeed deliver votes to William Samoei Ruto. The second thing, and which is more lethal, Raila is a politician par excellence. Raila is a strategist. Raila is a political animal. Raila is a master chess player in politics. And we shall all agree that Ruto is another political master. For if Ruto had not been that, how would he be president? How would Ruto be president today if he had not been a master at the chess board? If Ruto had not been a political giant, a political strategist, a master at the game, how would he have become president? So now you combine these two gentlemen and you still think you have a walkover. As Americans will tell you, you have another think coming. And I'm not saying that they have the votes to win, but I'm saying a combination of Raila and Ruto is lethal. Dismiss it the way I'm hearing in the streets from commoners, as they were called sometimes back, and you are a person who wants to unseat Ruto, and you dismiss him, and you say Raila will bring 0 votes, that Raila has lost it, that Raila is what, Raila is this, Raila is that. You are naive. You wait to be surprised in 2027. What else could Raila be having, Ruto be having? Ruto has, as president, made friends. The power of incumbency. To unseat a sitting governor is always difficult. Why? The governor makes friends. The governor uses resources to make friends, to employ people, to give people favors, to give people contracts. If you think that friendship and networking is nothing, ask yourself, how did Ruto wrestle MPs from William Ruto? How? Including Mount Kenya MPs. From the day they won the election in 2013, William Samoei Ruto embarked on a mission to make friends among politicians. And that is how come he was able to take almost the entire Mount Kenya leadership, MPs and others, church leaders, because he made friends Making friends became his business from the time they took over power in 2013. In fact, so much so that Ruto could even have taken on, maybe not successful. He could have taken on Ruto in 2017 if he wanted, Uhuru. Because of making friends. So as president and as a master at making friends, do not underrate that networking, that friend making. And everybody has said Ruto doesn't forget his people. Look at how he has formed his government. Look at the people he gave jobs when he took over. He's not like these other politicians. He doesn't forget people who have helped him. And therefore, he's making friends as we move to 2027. If you think that is not going to help him, then you have another thing coming, like I said, Americans say. William Samoei Ruto, from the word go, he managed to dismantle certain political parties, political formations, pull them from the original Azimio and bring him to his side. He painted Northeastern blue, yellow. It was entirely blue. You look at the political map before the elections and during the elections, this country was blue. But within a couple of months, Ruto had turned the country more yellow than anybody would have imagined. And you still think you'll beat him that easily? Think twice. Think twice. William Samoei Ruto is a man who knows how to use resources. There are politicians in this country who have had it rough during elections just because they don't know how to use resources. It has been said that even those who get resources don't use the resources. Even when such resources are contributed by well-wishers, they rather keep than use for elections. William Ruto is not like that. And to crown it all, William Samoei Ruto is not a poor man by any standards. He had the resources to mount a powerful election in 2022. He has been a president and he will have been a president for 5 years. An astute businessman who knows how to make a shilling. You can imagine the kind of resources at his disposal in 2027. And not just resources, the wherewithal, the willingness to use those resources, to apply those resources, the willingness and the ability and the wherewithal of applying those resources. And you still think Ruto is vanquished? The goalkeeper is not there? You just go in like a bee goes into a beehive? I'm sorry to give you bad news. It's very difficult for you. And finally, Ruto must be having a secret card, a secret weapon. Kitendawili. When you look at the opposition figures today, what do you see? Just look at them. Just look at them. Just look at the opposition figures. Kitendawili, look at the opposition figures. Therein lies Ruto's secret weapon.